Hello and welcome, crafty friends. This is Rachel, Crafting Mama Bear, and today I'll be showing you how I made this red truck wreath using items from Dollar Tree. To start, you will need one of the 14-inch wreath forms, 6 rolls of this white and red deco mesh, 1 roll of this plaid ribbon with the gold trimming on it, 2 rolls of the 1.5 inch non-wired ribbon. I used 2 different patterns, one with snowflakes and one that said Merry Christmas. I also used 2 packages of the light up ornament necklaces, the red truck sign, some silver pipe cleaners, some twist ties, and I used my scissors, rotary cutter. I didn't show it, but I also used my hot glue gun. Now I'm going to be making another work wreath. The last video that I made this, I didn't feel like I explained it very well, so I'm going to show you how I make this. So on this first section, I'm putting 1 pipe cleaner onto the inside 2 loops on the wreath. And then on the outside 2 rings, I will be adding 2 pipe cleaners. So there's going to be 3 pipe cleaners per section on the wreath, but I'm going to alternate where they're placed per section. So this one has 1 on the inside, 2 on the outside, and then I'm going to go to the next one and I'll be placing 2 on the inside and 1 on the outside. And for this, you're going to use 18 full-length twist ties. So here's the wreath form with all of the pipe cleaners attached. Now I'm going to cut down my mesh, and I will be cutting my mesh into 30-inch long pieces. I did have to save the little extra pieces on the end of the roll that didn't measure to 30 inches. I did end up having to use those on the wreath, but I don't think it turned out bad. You can't tell that they're shorter, but I did need to use every single piece of mesh in order to fill in the wreath. So for my thick wired ribbon, I will be cutting it down to 9 inches long. And while I was looking at my ribbon stash, I decided to add a burlap ribbon with red polka dots. I thought it just would add into the kind of rustic feel. So since this is wired, I will be cutting it down to 9 inches also. And then for the thin non-wired ribbon, I cut these down to 8 inches long. Once my ribbon is cut, I do like to dovetail the ends of all of them. So for the smaller non-wired ribbon, I fold one end over on the other and then fold along the narrow side. And then you cut along the folded side to make a V, and that will cut both ends at once. For the wired ribbon, I just fold it lengthwise. And again, cut along the folded side to make a V. After the ribbon's cut, I'm going to decide how I want the ribbon placed. And I want the thickest ribbon to show up the most, so I'm going to make sure to layer that on the top. Each one of the pipe cleaners is going to have 2 pieces of mesh, and on each piece of mesh I will be adding a little bundle with the ribbon. To make the bundle, you're going to pinch the short end and just gather the rest and pull it up. Keep it pinched in the middle until you make a little bow tie. Now, since I want the thicker ribbon to be on top, I'm going to put the burlap ribbon on the bottom. So I'm going to find the middle on my ribbon, pinch it, add it into my fingertips on top of the mesh. I'll grab my wreath form, find a spot, and twist it down. You don't want to twist it too many times on this first bundle. You want to twist it down 1, maybe 2 times, and because if you keep twisting and twisting, it's just going to add some height and it's going to make the bundles kind of wobbly. So I do 1, maybe 2 twists, and then I go ahead and add the second bundle of mesh on top. So again, to make the bundle, you're going to grab the mesh with the short end towards you, pinch it in your between your thumb and your pointer finger. With the other fingers, you're just going to grab it all into the center until it makes a little bow tie shape. And this white mesh frayed like crazy. I've never used a Dollar Tree mesh that frayed as much as this one, but it drove me nuts. So I added the other bunch of ribbon, and now I'm going to stagger how this bundle is placed. So I want to make sure my pipe cleaner is going the same direction as my bottom layer of mesh, and then I'm going to put the second bundle on top, making an X. And then I'll twist it down about 3 times because I'm done adding things to this bundle. So I'm going to continue this all the way all the way around the wreath. Here it is with all of the bundles on there. And what I ended up doing was I did 1 bundle with all of the ribbon, 1 with no ribbon at all, 1 with all, and then in the inside, I think I did the same. There was a section where I needed to have 2 bundles without any ribbon, and that's going to be where I end up putting the top of my sign. So with the leftover ends of your pipe cleaners, you can either tuck them down into the mesh, or what I'm doing here, I'm just taking an old paintbrush and twisting it around the end of the paintbrush just to give it a little something extra. I wish I would have used red pipe cleaners instead of silver, but it is what it is. So the night before I went ahead and prepped my sign, I added my pipe cleaners to the back, adhered them with a generous amount of hot glue, and I took the piece of rope that was on the top of the sign off and covered it using one of these snowflake glitter stickers. I also added a couple of them around the sign so it wasn't the only dimensional sticker on there. I also took my lights and added some Mod Podge and some of this ultra fine glitter that I get from Walmart, just to add a little more sparkle to it. I couldn't just leave them plain Jane. And I got this idea from this Southern Girl Can. She added these lights to a wreath that she made, and I had this idea for this wreath in mind, but I didn't know what kind of embellishment I wanted to use. I didn't want to use flowers, and I was just kind of at a loss. And so since there are those type of lights on the tree on the sign, I thought it was perfect. So up here at the top is where I had to add two things of mesh without any ribbon, so it was really white up there with no ribbon, and that's where I'm going to attach the top of my sign. So I just take the pipe cleaners, feed it through, and then I will flip the wreath form over and loosely secure them onto the wreath until I'm sure that that's the placement that I want them. So I'm happy with where my sign is, and now I'm going to take my lights and figure out where I want them to be placed. I'm going to take the end of the little necklace piece that has the button on it to turn the lights on, find a hole in my wreath and slip it in between my wreath form, and it's just narrow enough that it does fit in there. And so my green wire doesn't show. I'm just moving the mesh around and finding a space in between the bundles where I can tuck the green wire so you don't see it. And I will be using the twist ties to secure those in the back. And the mesh is so full that you don't see the green wire at all. Pulling apart the mesh was the most daunting thing to do with making this wreath. Again, this white mesh was just fraying like crazy. I felt like I was having to snip it up and get all the loose pieces off. Every time I messed with it, I saw little frays that were on the wreath. So hopefully that's not the case with all of them that are white, but I will say every single one of the 6 bags that I got did this. So I'm at the end of this string of lights, and I'm just poking the end of the necklace down through the wreath form again. I'm pulling off this frayed piece of mesh. So that's how I'm going to do it on the other side. And now I'm just going to secure the necklace down so it doesn't fall off or get pulled off. And I'm only adding it in between like every other light bulb, so you don't have to add it to every single one. Just make sure that it's not going to come down. If it's hanging on your door and someone shuts it hard, you don't want the light starting to slip off of it. So here it is with both strands of the lights on it. Now I'm just going to kind of fluff up my wreath a little bit, pull out my ribbon, make sure it's all showing. And now I'm going to tightly tie down my sign because it's where I want it to be, and all of my mesh and ribbon is pulled up and out of the way. I will also be cutting down the excess on the pipe cleaners that are holding the sign together, and I will be cutting off all of those ends for the twist ties that were holding down the lights. So here's the wreath completely finished. I think it turned out really, really cute. There are 3 different settings on these lights. One where it blinks like this, one it'll blink faster, and one it'll stay a solid color without blinking. So I think it turned out really adorable. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a big thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And until next time, bye-bye.